Oh, welcome back to another video. This time is a build video. First attempt at trying to do a video of me actually building a plane. I'm going to go for the Mc200 easy assembly kit. So it's first time trying to do this, so it will be. I decided just to pick the easy kit just so I can do it in one go. Equally, I'm recording this off my phone and doing a bit of testing. I can't stop the video. I can pause it to do jump cuts, but I can't stop properly. And it being a single video, so fingers crossed, get all this done in a single video. If not, then you'll find out when I have multiple videos uploaded. So yep, so got the model out ready, got a selection of paints, most of which is not the ones recommended, but what have I got? That's in aircraft grey green for the interior. I've got off-white, Ilfrium grey, that's to go with the yellows. That's because I'm going to be doing, as soon as I find the instructions. Are the instructions just here? Well, I'm going to be doing the version with the yellow nose and the white triangles on the wings. If you watched the other video, you know what I'm on about. But yeah, so I've got Ilfrium grey to go with the yellow, silver, black for, well, tyres and stuff. As I say, aircraft grey and green, green and grey. Umber 55 for the metal. Silver, oh yeah, silver's the propeller as well, isn't it? Earthshade and non-oil for a bit of shading. And I've got deep green, which I think is the closest I've got, which will be for the top. Even though it shows a bit brown, but I think that's the closest green I've got for the what I could see from Mr. Colour. Right, so got my glue. I got my own clogging wire, because anybody that knows these nozzle type glues, they clog up like there's no tomorrow. Bottle of water, paintbrush, clippers, knife, tweezers. Right, so small jump cuts I set up and start getting the kit out. And also find what I did with the instructions. Even though this is a pretty easy kit to assemble, probably do it without instructions. Oh well, I'll get the instructions out anyway. Jump cut. Okay, found the instructions. They were hiding under my knee for some bizarre reason. But yeah, got the instructions out and yeah, they're pretty easy. Evidently this may be more of a jump cut video as I do it in steps, so I tried to set the phone up just so I can try and record as I go along, but struggling to get the camera in a stable position. So, as I say, I've only got my phone for this, so okay. Either way, let's start making the cockpit section, which is these pieces up here. So it's A, B, and C. Nice and easy. All the pieces cut out, though. Just need to use the file to get rid of some of the bits left over from cutting them off with the sprue. You can see just on the front of the chair there. There we go, it fell down a little bit, so I'm going to try and do this one-handed. Right, so yeah. Get the gloop. And can I put the glue? Yeah, the glue's going to work. I'm going to put a dollop in there as well. Put the cap on the glue. Stay. First try. Right. Okay, just checking the instructions, which angle control column is supposed to be, and it's supposed to be dropping out the tweezers. No, this ain't gonna work. Okay, jump cuts. And of course, while I'm trying to do that, between the jump cut, oh no, that's lucky. I was about to say I lost the control stick to the carpet monster. Luckily though, it stood out, so I was able to just pick it back up again. Take two. And one assembled cockpit section. We could actually cheat now and put it straight onto into the fuselage. So goes on to, so the instructions goes on to these two. So I know I'm not doing this properly. Will you just dry fit? Yes, it dry fits. It dry fits nicely. I've got to put glue there and try to do that again. That's going to be slightly actually, that's not too bad. We'll find out in a minute when I try and put the top fuselage on after painting it. Oh yeah, I've got to do that again with glue. Small jump cuts, I just put glue into those holes there. And nope. Yep. Yeah, there we go. Right. Okie dokie. Well, I'll wait for that to dry. Move them out of the way for a minute. I might as well get the engine painted up. Yep, we'll do the engine next. I am not gonna do, as I mentioned on the video, the previous video. You can do spinny propeller with these. Just don't glue it into the engine cowling, but glue it onto the little knob on the end. Nub. Don't say the other word. I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna. I don't have spinny propellers, so I'm just gonna glue it straight onto the engine. So I'm gonna paint up the engine first, and yeah, I'll paint up the engine first, and I'll glue the propeller in the front afterwards. Once I painted that. So painting them up, I am going to use number 53, just plain old metal. I will put a wash or two of 9 oil over that, just to darken it down, and silver. And the reason for the silver is, use my paintbrush as a guide here. The raised bit here, I don't know what it's called, sorry. That's going to be silver, and these little rods here as well, they're all going to be silver as well. So I'll pick that out. I might as well do the exhaust ring around the outside there. I'll paint it up in metal as well. I know it's, I think it says, what is the colour it says for the, so I want D. D is reddy brown. And yet there it's clearly metallic. Yep, so I'm going to do what I normally do with some of these exhaust rings. Yeah, and I'm going to paint it up in Hobbyboss 53. Yes, it's an old pot of Hobbyboss 53. That's all out of focus. Yeah, there we go. And then put a layer or two of Agrax Earthshade over the top. It gives it a nice, like burnt iron appearance. And then maybe a bit of 9 oil as well. So, yeah, I'll get on and paint up the interior here. Small jump cut for that. Remember, always shake the pots up. Especially some of these metallic ones where everything sits at the bottom. And that Hobbyboss 53, I know for a fact it's been sat still for a while. Sorry, shaky camera as I'm trying to then in turn shake the bottle up. There we go, all painted up. Hobbyboss 53, so I'm voicing over because I forgot to pause the video I was listening to. Now I'm going to paint up the interior of the fuselage and the cockpit as well. That will be with the well, not Humbo, just wait for the paint pot to turn up. There we go. Aircraft Grey Green from Extra Acrylics. That's from the Hannott's website. Good equivalent of Humbo 78. I'll shake the pot up as normal. Just realising I had something playing in the background. That video playing in the background, which no doubt will get me in trouble. Yay. Anyway, try to sort that out. Right, so got the Aircraft Grey Green out. It's not too bad. Put a couple of, it probably takes a couple of layers normally. Get a decent coat and put that on, and then we'll do a little bit of weathering. Just try and bring out some of the details. Not much there, but what you can see is just to give that little bit of impression of usage. Okay, some cut. First layer on, and as predicted, yeah, that's already Yep, that's going to need more than one coat on it. But yeah, did the inside, I did the front there as well. Used the ride. So afraid paintbrush, you can just see it here. Good for actually larger coverage area, but also splatters paint all over the place. Which at this stage, yeah, I'm a little bit messy painter at this early stage. Tidy up as we go through. Engine's still wet, so I can't put a wash on that. So I might as well assemble or paint up the propeller. Let's go with propeller. Let's paint him up. Once he's cut off the sprue and all the little gate bits file down. Right, let's paint him up. So it'd be refill silver, because I prefer that over the Humbro silver, which comes out like a really grey colour. Just for example, there's Humbro silver, which actually doesn't appear too bad on the camera, but it's definitely not silver. That's like a really pale grey with a hint of metallic in it. Yeah. I'll do a review on this at some point. Got a little issue with the Mustangs, but I'll do that when I talk more about it when I do a review on it. Anyway, silver for the propeller. Okay, waiting for the propeller to dry a little bit, and while I was doing it, I put another coat of green paint onto the cockpit section. So I've now got to wait for all that to dry. The engine is still, yeah, it's not there. Yeah, the engine's still waiting on it to dry. Don't want to put black wash in there because it'll start mixing with the actual paint itself. So next bit is assembly. Might as well do the landing gear. Starboard landing gear assembled, minus the wheel. Port side. Port and starboard landing gear now sorted. So engine has, okay, that's still a little wet, won't take much longer. Engine. Cockpit section, a little wet, but I could probably do a little bit more on that now. And propeller, I can do a bit more on the propeller. Right, okay, a bit more of a cut. The fun part of any build, waiting for paint to dry. So yeah, I picked up the the hand grip on the control stick. Propeller's painted up fully, and while I still have some silver paint left over, the camera's decided to lose focus again. There you go. Painted up some details on the engine, like the rods and that central bit. Let me know what that bit's called. I'm still curious what that bit's actually called on that, but yep. Let's wait for that to dry. See if I try and weather the cockpit section now. Okay. There you go. Put Agrax Surf Shade over the cockpit section. What I'll do is let that dry, and then I'll put the grey-green back over the top. Not fully, I'll dab it on to give it the impression of like wear and tear. And then I'll mix a bit of grey-green with the off-white, Ulfrain grey even. And use that to pick up some of the edges and stuff. Again, just give that impression of wear, but I say, because then you've got a tiny little hole to see all this through. You might not see much of it, but again, satisfaction to know it's that's there. Okay, hopefully that'll be dry in a minute. When the propeller's dry, I should be able to put a bit of put a little non-oil wash over that, just around the hub section in the middle, just so I can bring out some of the details there. I thought this silver paint had dried, but nope, it hasn't. But there you go, just to gives you, yeah, get the words out. Gives you a bit more detail what's actually there, impression of what's there. Brings the detail out a little bit. I believe the engine, at long last, looks dry. So let's start getting that. Put the non-oil wash on that. The engine with wet non-oil in there. Hopefully when that dries, it'll, as I say, darken out all the recessed areas, but keep all the raised areas a bit lighter. And then I'm actually back to the stuck point. I'll probably paint those up, the landing gear. Might as well do that while I'm waiting for everything else to dry. I know it's a little different to how it's done in the instructions, but then, let's put it this way, the engine's one of the last things to do along with the landing gear, and we'll be still stuck at this stage. So it's amazing because I bet all the model makers experience the same thing. It goes really slowly, you're waiting for everything to dry, and then suddenly the whole thing will suddenly just like assemble in one go. But alright, yep, let's get the landing gear painted up as soon as I figure out what colours they're supposed to be, because it doesn't tell you anything. Kidoki, so propeller painted, washed, just waiting for the wash and a bit of paint to dry there. Landing gear, that's now painted. Engine, still waiting on for it to dry. You can clearly see through there that wash in there is still really wet. I might put the wash on the outside while I'm waiting for the inside to dry. And you see what I mean by the agric surf shade plus metal mix. It brings it out quite nicely. That is nearly dry, so I can finally start putting some more detail on the inside. And I painted the landing gear bay. Nope, that hasn't got the tail wheel on it. There's the tail wheel. And I painted that up while I had the silver out. So, right, just a quick update while I wait for stuff to dry. Yay. As I say, I'll probably actually paint up the exhaust ring around the outside. I'm leaving this on the sprue just while I get my finger caught on the propeller. Oh wait, propeller. Yeah, I'm leaving the engine cowl on the sprue here just because it makes it a little bit easier to handle. But as soon as I'm ready, I'll cut all that off. Wheels are left off purely for either painting the wheels. Get the phone stand out of the way. Yeah, just make it easier to paint those, and then once they're painted, I will then put them into the landing gear once they're dry. Okie dokie. Right, let's do agric surf shade onto the cowling or the exhaust ring. Tidy up the board a little bit, and first layer of agric surf shade is on. You're not going to see too much of a difference at the minute, but another layer or two and that will come out nicely. Still a bit wet, but I can work with that. I'll start weathering the interior, bring up the detail, but yeah, what detail? But yeah, I'll start bringing back out the, say, interior grey-greeny colour. I'll splotch it on in like a dry, brushy, splotchy fashion even. And so you can see some of the earth shade there is still wet, but I'll work around that. And well, I might as well do that, and then after show you the bit there, and then we'll then mix, say, grey-green with some Ukraine grey, and then bring out some of the raised details. There we go, so splotched it on. I've still got the paint open. So what I'll do now is get a bit more out, stick some Ukraine grey in, and so you splotch it on top. You see it's not as, doesn't appear as dirty, but just with the raised bit of Ukraine in there, picks out all the raised detail. Once that's done, we can glue the fuselage on. There you go, that's the inside. All done. Okay, I did a bit more with the engine cowling out of the way. I did accidentally add a bit more Ukraine grey in there than I wanted to, but it came out nicely. Gave you like the pattern, the rough, like revered pattern I was after. I say you've got a tiny little hole to see this through. You ain't gonna see that much. In fact, let's dry fit him on now. Is that about right? Yeah, that's about right. So yeah, you're not going to see too much in there. But yeah, I'll dry fit that properly. Make sure you always dry fit before gluing the things on together. And yeah, we'll glue them together. I still dry fit, but dry fit with 2 hands is a lot easier than 1 hand. And yeah, that just literally goes together nicely like so. Looks like quite a nice little plane, that. So, okay, I'll take them apart again, glue them, and stick them together. You're not going to be able to tell, but that is glued together. So, yeah, it's a bit odd considering, as I say, you got those corner bits. Doesn't look that great one. Oops. Yeah, that hopefully a bit of paint that'll go away, that seam line. But yeah, those corner bits that you can stick down, that you can see sticking there, and there. The way you had to assemble it, because you can see the chair there. So you had to, so that's the corner bit here. You had to put, like, assemble it backwards, like the top piece a little bit further back, and as you're pushing it down, then bring it forward so it slots on these corner pieces, which, yeah, can actually slot in under the cockpit section. So that's slotted in under there, and then you can just push it all down on top of each other. So I'll squeeze that a little bit flat, so you can try and get rid of that seam line a little bit. And then yeah, we'll sand away that gate bit there, and the one under there. And then I'll put another layer of shade around the top here. And you can see actually that's already starting to come out. I'll put another layer of paint there, and yeah, hopefully that'll come out nicely. Okay, I've got a pair of clamps that I've got handily lying around. So using these to hold that together while I can then focus on painting them up. That's the second layer on the engine cowling, or the exhaust ring as I'm calling it. That's now on there, so let's push you out the way. And what I'll do is try and pick up some of the details where, let's say, the silver paint was still a bit wet on the propeller and the propeller hub. And we'll also try and add some, or use the wash to pick up some details on the landing gear, or the landing gear struts. As well as actually start painting up the wheels. That's something else I can do while I'm waiting for stuff to dry. There we go, some more of the details all picked up. So sorted out around the front where the silver and the non-oil wash was actually reacting with each other. Just where the silver wasn't dry. And then yeah, picked up all the raised details on the landing gear struts. So yeah, quite basic little struts, but yeah, it gives you that impression. And just like helps pick up some of the details. Helps your eye pick up some of the details there. Alright, so still waiting for stuff to dry again. Every model maker suffers this problem. Right, I've painted the silver on the wheels, so I've got. Often I end up having to put a couple of layers on, but yeah. I'll put another layer of silver on them and wait for that to dry. So, I actually repainted some of the silver back on the inside there, and then pulled out some of the excess wash because there was just too much wash in there actually, and it was just taking forever to dry, longer than normal. So I took some of the excess out. Something to be careful with the Citadel washes is it is a liquid, more liquider than normal, as you can see from there. I'll get my thumb out of the way. The wash has started to leak all the way down to the edge there, so you have to keep on top of it at times and just spread it back out. Which, yeah, I've had to do there. So I'll put that back upside down again. Applied a bit more silver on some of the raised details on the propeller just to bring it out. And I just tidied up a bit on the landing struts where I hadn't painted them properly fully earlier. Hopefully the fuselage should be all glued together, and you can see it's a lot more. Hopefully the glue's all set now for that. It's been there for a while. and get rid of the we'll get rid of the little gate. I haven't filed them off. There's one there and one just on the other side there. Okay. There we go, out of the clamp jig, and I've sanded away the top one. I had a closer look at the one at the bottom here. And actually, I think that's supposed to be there. It looks like, yeah, it looks like it's supposed to be there. So I've decided to leave that one there. The top one I've just filed away. I was about to say sawn off then. I was like, no, don't use a saw for that. If you don't have, going back to the clamps earlier, there's, there you go, Mc200. That's the clamps you use. You can get them all sorts of places. If not, then say all you need to do is just squish it together, and luckily there's not a lot of sharp pointy bits on this one, so you ain't gonna, while trying to hold it, clamp it shut with your hand, you're not going to end up with deep indents in your fingers and thumbs. Alright, so waiting for that stuff to dry again. In fact, those should be dry, so I should be able to put the landing gear on. Ooh. As well as paint up the tyres on the wheels. Hopefully you dry. Yep, you're dry as well, so I can actually assemble all this in one go now. I'll probably, for ease of painting, leave the propeller off all the way till the end. The landing gear I'll put on, because I'll put those on now. So yeah, I'm going to almost start painting the main fuselage. So okay, let's cut the engine cowling off, glue the wheels on, glue the landing gear on, and paint up the wheels themselves. I will leave it on the sprue just to make things easier, but once I cut it off the sprue, I'll then paint over the bit that I've cut off. Okay, jump cut. The advantage of dry fitting. That's a heck of a gap around the front of the engine, or front of the fuselage there. I'm guessing it is supposed to be there. Not quite sure what that cutout's supposed to be there. There's the got the cutout there with the actual exhaust stubs there as well. Yes, I'm not quite sure what that cutout's there. It could be for the machine guns. There's a technically wider part than that is, but yeah, not sure about that one. But yeah, back to the original thing, there's a heck of a gap there, so I'm probably going to leave the engine off while I paint up the fuselage. I'll paint the front nose of the fuselage, paint the inside. I'll probably do that metal. I wouldn't have thought they were painted camouflaged green on the interior. You're not going to really see it. So I'll paint metal on the inside of the engine, engine cowling, paint the green around the front there. And yeah, then I'll stick it on. I haven't done the landing gear, as you can tell there. But yeah, I'll get on and do that now. Alright, so painted the, as you can see, painted the nose on there, painted the interior of the engine cowling, and painted a little bit of the nose on the underside. Now, the interesting part is the instructions do specifically say, once they focus, that the underside is B, which is Acrylis Colour 69 and Mr. Colour 37. Acrylis 69 basically refers to RLM 75, the German colour, which is a really dark grey. And when I did the same with 37, it also came up with a really dark grey. So them calling it light grey and then giving us dark grey colours is a bit of an interesting thing. I have, when I've done other Italian aircraft, found that 106, Humbo 106, the RAF dark grey colour, is very similar to the other colours mentioned. So painted that on. I will do a better job. That's only like first coat. But yeah, basically it was a very similar colour to what the underside of the Italian aircraft was. So I'll be using Humbo's 106 for the underside. So just a little bit of interesting bit there. I'll get the landing gear done now. So paint the yeah, I'll glue these on to the fuselage, and while I'm waiting for that to dry, then I'll paint up the wheels. And there's the landing gear on. I'm just going to pop it up on a couple of spare Saetta paint pots I'm not using at the moment, just so the weight isn't pushing on the landing gear and spraying them out. Luckily, there was a square hole on the... I don't know if you saw earlier, but there was a square hole in the outer one, outer strut, and the support strut, there was a small pinhole, so you couldn't get them mixed up. But equally, the bay covers, you could also line them up with the underside, just as a clue which way around they should be. So yeah, a little bit of a you're not going to stay there now, are you? I've taken you off. Now let's turn these around. There you go. Sorry, doing that off camera. So the Citadel paint have a little lid catch at the back there, which is good for just hanging onto wings. I put the black paint up there, and I'm just about to use it for the wheels. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be painting this one. So, in fact, I might as well actually... Or do I glue that on? I'll glue them on, actually. I'm doing all this off camera. What I'm on about, there you go. Do I paint up the cowling now, while it's off, the fuselage, or do I glue them on? And I'm actually going to go with cowling on. The thinking was it's going to be easier to paint with. No, it isn't, because my hand's going to be all over it, so I might as well glue it onto the front of the plane first, and then I can paint it up and just hold on to the edges of the wings, hopefully in between the different layers of the paint drying. Right, small update. The wheels, as you can see, are now painted. Not fully, they will need a second coat on them. And I have put the cowling on. Now, a couple of things I've noticed. If I come up here, are you going to focus? Yeah, try to at least. I don't know if you can quite see, but this landing strut is a little bit further forwards than the other one, so I'm just trying to push them back a little bit. And when you put the engine cowling on, the 2 times I tried to do it, it went it went over to the one side, so I had to then push it back, not bend it, but push it back, so it's more in line with the rest of the fuselage. Even there now, it's still a little bit wonky, so I'll try and straighten them out a bit more, and then leave that to dry. And unfortunately, I'm now stuck in one of these positions where I'm waiting for everything to dry. Though I could paint up the outer wings first, and a little bit of the fuselage here while I'm waiting for, hold on to the tailpiece, and wait for paint up the wings while I wait for everything on the underside to dry. Might not be a good idea because I'm waiting for the landing gear to finish drying, but yeah, well.